Hi, Katie.
Hi.
Did you get a chance to reflect on your lesson from last week?
Yeah, I did. I think it went pretty well.
Mhm.
I really made a conscientious effort to make sure that I was really working and
Mhm.
modeling for her. And I know it was in a little bit of a different lesson.
Yeah.
But it's something that I've really been trying to work out and like kind of work into
Mhm.
all of my different lessons that I'm
Yeah.
doing. So definitely something that I still need to keep working on, but yeah, I think it went really well with the fluency lesson.
Yeah. So what you're saying is based on your working on all that modeling, and if you take a look at the data, you asked me to track, when you were modeling and what you were doing.
Mhm.
And I think it was like 5 or 6 times, and we just gave like a brief description of, what was happening. But do you see like any trends that you are noticing in that data and your modeling?
Yeah, so I'm just noticing it's interesting that like I did like 5 or 6 times throughout the lesson, and I'm just like kind of thinking of it right now. I'm like, oh man, maybe that was too much or something, but I don't know. I kind of feel like it worked really well, especially with the expression.
Mhm.
We were really focusing on expression because we're doing readers theater.
Mhm.
And it's something that she's continuing to work on. I did like how I kind of interconnected the
Yeah.
lessons. So I see that in the modeling, in the data that you tracked, that
Mhm.
I'm using character traits that we
Yes.
were working on in
Yep.
comprehension, using it and working it out here. Like, so it's another way for her to kind of use that inferential skill of using character
Mhm.
traits in context in a
Yeah.
different text. So yeah, noticing that you wrote about that,
Mhm.
and then talking about the character traits, modeling
Mhm.
that type of like what that would sound like. Yeah.
Yeah, so what you're saying is that you connected your character traits with the reading, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about the progress that Kay has made in that connection with the reading and then bringing it over and maybe into the fluency?
Such good progress. Especially, and I wish you would have been able to see like her original
Yeah.
reading, especially of this excerpt last week, because it was a little longer than the initial
Hmm.
one that I had given her the
Okay.
previous week. And she really struggled with it throughout when she was reading the first time through.
Hmm.
We went through and she actually found around 6 to 8 words that she didn't know
Yeah.
what they were. We tracked them down with one another, and we were working with those in word study.
Hmm.
So through conferencing with Dr. Lee and like talking about like my observations, I really kind of found a way to like thread
Yeah.
all the different lessons
Yeah.
together in some kind of a way, even if I was just using Cinder really
Yep.
the reader's theater to like model with in
Hmm.
my reading comprehension, or pull some words to do vocabulary work for
Yeah.
word study. But yeah, I feel like that kind of really helped her with this
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah,
Like,
you're seeing that connection a little bit more with her,
yeah.
and that's awesome. Thinking about how you've been working on your modeling, can you elaborate a little bit more what specifically maybe you stood out to you that you were doing?
Yeah. So something, and not just in fluency, but like in
Mhm.
reading
Yeah.
comprehension, which is where you viewed me originally, or observed me originally, was I've been pulling from texts that she's familiar
Mhm.
with, like maybe the fluency text or one of the other books that we were working
Yeah.
with. It was actually the book, her independent reading book, that was a little bit too high for
Mhm.
her. But I went through and I pulled manageable
Yeah.
excerpts that I knew that she could
Yeah.
handle from that book. And we used it to practice dialogue for
Mhm.
one of the lessons. So it helped her identify dialogue. I've just been going
Yeah.
through and making an effort to show her like, okay, like I'm, seeing that I do see words on
Mhm.
on this screen, and I'm noticing that these are words because there are quotation
Yeah.
marks around them.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take this and I'm going to make sure I put, this little box around the words, because here's my dialogue. And I know that because,
Yeah.
so just kind of talking out loud or
Yes.
thinking out
Yeah.
loud, doing that talking with her, what it looks like. And then
Mhm.
when she's going and doing it, I'm having her talk it
Yes.
out too.
Yeah. Yeah. I did
Yeah.
notice that. That was great. So thinking about how you are using it a little bit more in writing, I wonder, how you could transfer that into all the other areas of your lessons that, that modeling that you have going.
Yeah. That's a good question. definitely, I think, and now, we only have a few sessions
Yeah,
left.
I know.
So I'm like, I really think, and again, it's a
Mhm.
place where I still need to do a little bit of work. But the one place where I could probably really improve it would be writing.
Mhm.
It, like she's doing a friendly letter to
Okay.
Simone Biles. So there was a lot of, and Dr. Lee actually brought this up too
Mhm.
with my lessons. I did a lot of sentence stems with
Okay.
her. So it would be like starting the sentence and then she would like finish the
Yeah.
sentence and think about like what she wanted to say. Like,
Mhm.
here's a way to start the sentence, you come up with the rest.
Yeah.
Whereas I could have written something, to
Mhm.
like, I don't know, somebody that I wanted to write, like a
Yeah.
celebrity or something. And she could have kind of looked at that and saw
Yeah.
how I did it. And, then gone off and constructed her
Mhm.
own way of doing it. And that's
Yeah.
something that Dr. Lee has challenged me to think about too. She's like, really think about when you need to give sentence stems, or if you could just kind of let her
Mhm.
brainstorm it out and like figure
Yeah.
out what she wants to say. So yeah, it's definitely something that I
Mhm.
need to continue to extend in other areas of tutoring.
And I think that's a good plan. You're very reflective on what you are continuing to work on. And I
Mhm.
think that as you branch out and keep doing that, I think they'll transfer over good.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.